Hello, I'm Caroline Riddell, and welcome to Arts in the City. We are coming to you today from the New York Public Library for the Performing Arts at Lincoln Center. There's an amazing exhibition here on Jerome Robbins, the famed choreographer and director. Beth Kovetz takes us inside.
Jerome Robbins was one of the most influential American choreographers, dancers, and directors of the 20th century. His many masterpieces include West Side Story and Fiddler on the Roof. Jerome Robbins has forever altered the face of both Broadway and ballet.
The New York Public Library for the Performing Arts is celebrating the 100th anniversary of his birth with an extraordinary exhibition called Voice of My City, Jerome Robbins and New York.
Julia Folks, the curator, wanted to reveal a new side of the artist.
Robbins was absolutely inspired by New York City. I would claim that it's his primary muse, that he saw himself and I think saw his way of being and way of seeing new things, like in his artworks, very much by his investigation of what was around him.
The exhibition shows how New York City inspired not only his dances, but also the range of his expressions, from his prolific writings to his drawings, paintings, home movies, and photos.
He grew up in Weehawken, born in Manhattan, but grew up in Weehawken, New Jersey. And what I love about this footage is that his feet may be in New Jersey, but you see that skyline behind him, and that's where his aspirations and his dreams and his future really will be, on the island of Manhattan. The other thing that I love about this rooftop scene is that he had a pretty tortured relationship with his family, but here you see him being joyful, he's young, he's smiling, which we often don't see too, and he's ready to take on the world.
Robbins burst out onto the scene in 1944 with the ballet Fancy Free, about 3 sailors on leave in New York. It was the first of his famous collaborations with then-budding composer Leonard Bernstein. Robbins discovered the story by looking at the gritty paintings by Paul Cadmus and observing the flood of sailors all around town. He also danced in the ballet.
You can see the ways in which, when you're able to focus on both the movement and the music, how both Robbins and Bernstein are sort of shattering previous ideas of what music and dance could be, taking vernacular sound and movement and pairing it with more formal classical tradition in both music and ballet.
8 months later, this hit ballet became Robbins' first hit Broadway show, On the Town. From this success, Robbins joined the New York City Ballet, becoming the associate artistic director and choreographing more Broadway shows. With partners Stephen Sondheim, Leonard Bernstein, and Arthur Lawrence, Robbins brought sneakers, snapping, jazz movements merging with ballet, gangs, and the pulsating streets of New York, things no one had ever seen before on Broadway or film.
He really has come to be at the top of his field in both Broadway, whether on musicals, whether on stage or screen, as well as ballet by this point. He gets an Oscar, he gets a key to the city, he gets recognized by the mayor of New York. He has literally created a place for himself in the city and in the arts.
But depression and feelings of inadequacy plagued him his whole life. He wrestled with his Jewish identity, his attraction to men, and whether people really loved him. Robbins wrote 24 personal journals from 1971 to 1984. These writings are all devoted to working out his feelings and his life. In this exhibit, they are revealed to the public for the first time.
They are not your typical just writing, what happened in my day. They really are artworks in and of themselves. You can see that he uses a collage effect, and he's literally piecing together his life and creating sort of juxtapositions. In some ways, it feels like he's creating relationships and trying to figure out how things might be related or what they might mean one next to another.
Jerome Robbins created works until almost the end of his life, co-directing the New York City Ballet, developing new ballets, and a Broadway retrospective. After his death in 1998, Jerome Robbins continues to inspire. This exhibition features New York export, Opus Jazz, his 1958 smash hit reimagined for today's audiences on film, as well as a new sneaker ballet, choreographed and danced by the sensational Justin Peck, New York City Ballet's resident choreographer.
I think what he gives us is a sort of range of expression that is really quite spectacular, and also makes me want to go out and go to Central Park and take some photographs and write about it and see what I could make of it.
The exhibition is free and open to the end of March at the New York Public Library for the Performing Arts at Lincoln Center. Beth Kovetz for Arts in the City.
Academy Award winner Steven Spielberg is now remaking West Side Story with Justin Peck as the choreographer. Moving now from the stage to another kind of craft, a remarkable artist using very unremarkable material, paper. Raynor Ramirez explains.
Artist Jeffrey Ruddell has carved a niche for himself using a pair of scissors and a little imagination, telling stories with paper.
So we'll start with this. We're just going to fold it up. You know where you're headed. You know what you're looking for. You see ahead at how you're going to cut it all together and what the story's going to be. So this looks like a job of patience, but I'm not a very patient person at all. But what I am is tenacious. I know where I want to go. I know where I want to get.
Jeffrey Ruddell is a paper prodigy of sorts. His father worked at a paper mill, transforming trees into pulp. Jeffrey transforms paper into three-dimensional sculptures that often reflect nature.
We were poor. I grew up on a farm in Michigan, so we didn't have a lot of money. But I remember making a fort one year, early part of summer, out of big cardboard tubes and pieces of corrugated cardboard tied and duct taped together. And it was a huge fort, like 4 or 5 or 6 rooms with big towers all around it. Even today in my studio, it's play. It's making things that make me happy, that I hope will make other people happy.
He continued crafting paper as gifts. Then he went to a friend's holiday party.
Finding myself poor, I decided to make a gift. So I made a little box of ornaments. And for the ornament, for the card, I made a flower that I stuck on the outside of a piece of paper. And very pretty, very three-dimensional. At the party, somebody saw this card and said, "Oh, that's very interesting. Could you make some of that for me, but bigger?" And I said, "Sure."
That somebody turned out to be the head of visual merchandising for Tiffany.
And in no time flat, I was working for Tiffany & Company making windows, which was great.
And Jeffrey has been making a living, cutting, folding, and gluing paper ever since. He's even got a book printed on paper.
Commercial clients want something that looks crafted. If something I make is sitting in a window at Tiffany, what's sitting in front of it is a $100,000 ring. It can't look like a $4 piece of paper behind it. It has to look like a $100,000 creation behind it. My job is to take something worthless, paper, and make it look like $100,000.
And if you think making a living shaping paper is nuts, wait till you see his favorite creation.
So I bought a bag of walnuts at a grocery store, and I opened them all up very carefully and cleaned them out. And then I gold leafed the inside of all the walnuts. Then I put them back together and made a little hinge out of embroidery floss so you could open it up like a little treasure box. And inside I made a little tiny accordion book with a little poem on it. Essentially it said, "Thanks for taking a chance on me."
You chose to try someone untried, it is true. You asked not what we'd done, but rather, what can you do?
This is a project I created with my nieces in mind. It's made out of this like crinkly glassine sort of paper. And poppies have this beautiful sort of ruffle. And the way to get that is you take a piece of glassine paper and you crunch it up in your hand. And you crunch, and then you turn it inside out and crunch it the other way. The lesson when I was trying to show my nieces how to make this was that you don't have to worry about perfection. That randomness, that's part of the perfection.
Most artists strive to leave a legacy. Paper, like flowers, eventually wilt away. And Jeffrey is just fine with that.
Paper does droop, it does bend, it does wilt. So a lot of the stuff I make, it'll last for a few months, but beyond that, it tends not to survive. It's ephemeral. that's paper. The thing I love about it is I take maybe $10 worth of paper and a lot of time and some accumulated experience and skill, and I turn that into something that I can then sell to someone for $3,000 or $4,000. And that's pretty amazing, because the part that I'm selling is my imagination.
For Arts in the City, I'm Raynor Ramirez.
Neil Rosen sits down with Lucas Hedges, who stars in the new movie Ben is Back with Julia Roberts. Neil also got to chat with his father, Peter Hedges, who directed the film.
Okay, nice. I'm good.
These days, it seems that actor Lucas Hedges' career is quite good. In 2016, he was nominated for an Oscar for his performance in Manchester by the Sea. He just recently finished a solid run on Broadway in the acclaimed play The Waverly Gallery. And last year, he starred in 2 heralded films, Boy Erased, where he played a gay teen struggling with his identity, and Ben is Back, about a troubled young man battling addiction who unexpectedly leaves a rehab facility to spend Christmas with his family.
If you really knew me, you'd be done with me.
I know you.
No.
I know you.
You don't, Mom. You don't know me.
So what kind of research did you do for this? Ben is an addict. I mean, did you talk to other addicts? Did you find it not necessary to even go through that process?
Yeah. I went to a lot of AA and NA meetings and spoke closely to people whose lives resemble Ben's. I was particularly drawn to the ones with the very low bottoms, because that's true in Ben's case. This is a story about somebody who gets pretty low, and the level of shame he experiences is uncharted ground for me. But I feel as though I connected to the root of his story, which is how I feel like I understood the
You personally
extremes.
connected to
Absolutely.
his addiction problems?
Well, the addiction is the root of self-loathing, and it's the attempt to self-soothe something that is unmanageable within yourself, which I absolutely relate to.
How so?
Well, I have a very complicated relationship with myself and with the world, and in terms of perceiving myself as separate from some sort of deserving of some love. That feels very much in my wheelhouse. If I don't deal with this, then it could be worse next time.
Okay.
Ben is Back was written and directed by Lucas's father, Peter Hedges. So you wrote this entire script, the screenplay, before you cast your son in the movie? It was like a done...
Julia Roberts signed on to do this film. I met with her. I came with a list of actors who had raised their hand, who said they'd like to be considered for the part. Very fine young actors, prominent. And she said, I want Lucas to do the film. Wow. And I said, well, we have a problem, because he doesn't want to do a film with me. And she said, well, let's work on that. But I think ultimately, part of the fun of being 20 or 21 is you're either away at college, away from your parents, or you're starting to make your own life without your parents. So to come work with your dad at that point where you're feeling this freedom and this opportunity, your life all in front of you, it was almost counterintuitive.
Well, I went to college and then dropped out so that I could do these projects. And I don't feel as, I do wish, a part of me wishes I could go to college, but I feel like the amount of communities I get to be a part of through these movies is really it substitutes for any college experience. I'm creating my own community and creating my own education as I go.
You're 21. Did you expect this kind of like Hollywood stardom thing? I mean, you know, you walk in the red carpet at the Oscars. I mean, and how are you dealing with this?
Certainly didn't expect it, and I also wouldn't say that I even experienced the Hollywood stardom. Pretty much I'm only known for independent film. You know, it's not the most popular thing.
It's not the Avengers.
No. I feel like I mean, there's some sort of like maybe indie like reputation I have, but Other than that, I feel like I'm really still in the exact same life, just able to work with really cool people. Anyways, here I am, still here. So thank you. Thank you for having me.
For Arts in the City, I'm Neil Rosen.
To Kill a Mockingbird never seems to lose its relevance. In fact, a new adaptation of the novel is now on Broadway, and it is a red-hot ticket. In Book It Today, author Tom Santopietro tells us about his book, Why To Kill a Mockingbird Matters. It is a deep dive into the beloved classic. Tom, thank you so much for coming by. We always love having you on the show.
Well, thanks very much for having me back. I always have a great time.
So your book is called Why To Kill a Mockingbird Matters, and I want to start by asking, what made you want to write the book? Did you feel that that question hasn't been adequately addressed?
I think it has only been addressed in part, and I think this is a book everybody reads in school, and there's so much what I call cultural heft attached to To Kill a Mockingbird, that I wanted to kind of strip that away, go back to the basics of the book, and figure out why is this still so hugely popular nearly 60 years after publication.
It became sort of this phenomenon.
Absolutely. It started a national conversation, and it was the subject of church sermons, and mothers would pass it to daughters and fathers to sons, until, just as you say, it became a cultural talking point and came out at exactly the right time when the civil rights movement was starting. I think what makes the book so extraordinary is she talks about what I call the other. Anybody who's different, anybody who walks differently, talks differently, looks differently, and every single person on this earth has felt like the other at one time or another. And that's what I think strikes a universal chord. When it was published, Harper Lee's, her big hope was that it would maybe sell 3,000 or 4,000 copies, enough to write another book.
What happened after that? She obviously didn't have expectations that the book would be what the book has become.
No, she had none of those expectations. She just wanted to write a very personal story because it's autobiographical in many ways. And she hoped it would strike a chord along the way. And she was flabbergasted by the reception, the sales, and the press attention, which really changed her life.
What was that like for her?
Overwhelming and ultimately very discouraging. It drove her away from public life. It's why we didn't see another book for 50 years. People said, well, how come you haven't written another book? And she said to her cousin, there are 2 reasons. Number 1 is there's nowhere to go but down, which is a really interesting feeling. And the second thing is, she said, I would never, ever go through that sort of press attention again.
So let's talk a little bit about the movie, and that means we have got to talk about Gregory Peck. This was truly career-defining for him. In fact, you tell a story in the book about how he talked about it being part of his obituary.
Absolutely. He said, I know the first line of my obituary is going to be Gregory Peck, who won the Academy Award for playing Atticus Finch. And he said, I am fine with that. It was the role he was born to play. He personally was very much like Atticus Finch. He understood that character so perfectly. Atticus Finch is the American we all would like to think we can be and that we hold within ourselves. The man of principle who will face down the mob in search of the truth.
Sure.
And that is a very powerful figure.
We always like to ask authors if you have any particular quirks or habits when you write.
Oh, that's a great question. What pops into my head right away as my quirk is, I have to be near the refrigerator.
I love that. That's a good one.
I always have to have snacks within reach, and I kind of think, okay, I've written a page and a half. I get a reward from the refrigerator.
Yeah. Tom, thank you so much for coming by. It was great to see you again.
Thanks very much for having me back.
Delivering the perfect punchline is no easy feat, and stand-up comedy is among the most challenging of the performing arts. Donna Hanover talks with Caroline Hirsch, whose famous club has boosted many a comedy star.
Caroline Hirsch is the founder of Caroline's on Broadway, which actually started out in 1982 in the Chelsea neighborhood as a cabaret. But Caroline had her finger on the pulse of something more edgy and interesting, comedy.
I thought there should be a younger, hipper movement happening, and there was. It was when David Letterman went on the air in the early 80s, and we were then hiring Jay Leno, Jerry Seinfeld.
Jay Leno went on to host The Tonight Show for 17 years.
Man, I'm so mad. People magazine came out with its 50 most beautiful issue. You know, 50 most beautiful people issue. 51 again, third year in a row. Yeah.
Caroline is still good friends with Jay, and Jerry's show, Seinfeld, became a mega hit.
How about that seedless watermelon? What an invention. Scientists are working on this. I mean, other scientists devote their lives to fighting cancer, AIDS, heart disease. These guys go, no, I'm focusing on melon.
I see Jerry a lot. You know, he helps us with Stand Up for Heroes a lot. We was starting to talk about the old days, and he was telling everybody stories about the first time he headlined at Caroline's. And he said, wow, it was New Year's Eve, and I was headlining at Caroline's. He goes, it was really a feather in my cap at that time.
Stand Up for Heroes, aiding military members, veterans, and their families, is just one of the many causes Caroline has supported. She grew up in Queens, and her early memories include seeing women comedians on TV.
I Love Joan and
I Love Lucy.
I Love Lucy. There were a lot of great ladies early on TV.
And one of her passions is making sure that women get their shot at stand-up. Sandra Bernhard is a longtime friend who's been on this stage many times, and so is Susie Essman, who is also well known from Curb Your Enthusiasm.
You know I have trouble sleeping?
No.
Yes, you do.
Don't know that.
Jeff, you never told him about my trouble sleeping?
We've stayed friends, you know, for over 30 years.
Among other comedians who played Caroline's are Leslie Jones from Saturday Night Live, Whitney Cummings, Michelle Buteau, Tiffany Haddish, Yvonne Orji, and Amanda Seales. Caroline has also helped women by serving on the board of the Ms. Foundation, co-founded by Gloria Steinem. She even created their annual comedy fundraiser. On stage at their most recent one was Judy Gold, who's been a star and guest on many shows, including The Late Show with Stephen Colbert.
It started in the 80s. Remember when everyone was lactose intolerant? Oh, I can't eat dairy, I can't eat dairy, I can't have milk. You know, everyone has explosive diarrhea every now and then, you know? You don't give up an entire food group, right?
Oh, Judy. Judy I've known forever, and she's just, Judy's the type of person that I could just hang around with and I could laugh all day with her. She's hilarious.
Also performing to help the Ms. Foundation was Michelle Wolf.
Michelle Wolf is also another young lady that people know now from the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
It is kind of crazy that the Trump campaign was in contact with Russia when the Hillary campaign wasn't even in contact with Michigan.
She kind of started on the stage, and she was also featured in our New York's Funniest contest that we had.
Performing as well was Maysoon Zaid.
Let's be honest, I'm not Taylor Swift. I'm the lost Kardashian.
I enjoy her all the time, and Gloria is a very big fan of hers.
Why is Caroline so passionate about giving women a chance?
I try to put as many women on stage as we possibly can. I hire people here that are funny, so I can't say that I put a woman on the stage that's not funny just because she's a woman, but I get to see so many great women, and they need a platform.
Caroline also produced an award-winning show on A&E Network for 6 years called Caroline's Comedy Hour, and she launched the annual New York Comedy Festival, which has been going strong for more than 15 years.
Doing stand-up comedy is kind of an aggressive part of acting. We even use the words, you either killed or you died, to explain what happened on stage.
Caroline says that doing stand-up is not for the weak.
Get on stage. Right. That's what it's about.
Don't expect success at the first moment?
No, not at all. About 10 years later. You know what amazes me? It's that I've worked with these people early on, and they went out to be such great successes. When you have that certain something and you keep working on your material and your honing of it, on act on stage, and I've worked with the best.
I'm Donna Hanover for Arts in the City.
That is our show for today. Thanks so much for joining us. Remember, you can find us online whenever you need your New York City arts and culture fix. I'm Caroline Riddell. We'll see you next time on Arts in the City.